got another Tip Tuesday video for you guys today, and in this video you can see that I have some cards spread out here because we're going to use that to talk about deviations in sort of a loaded deck. All right, but first off, if you're new to this channel, welcome. This is A1 Blackjack, channel where we teach you how to count cards fast. So if that sounds good to you, stick around, because over the last few weeks on these Tip Tuesday video days, what we've been doing, I think the first week we talked about how to count faster, some drills that we can do with that. Last week we talked about how to memorize basic strategy and make sure that we are playing the exact right decision every single time. And then this week we're going to talk about three drills, or three things, they're not all drills, but three things that I think will help you understand and know, maybe even memorize those deviations that I think are necessary if you want to become an advantage blackjack player. So first off, maybe take a screenshot or something. You can always come back, I guess, to this video and see kind of how I have these cards laid out. These are 204 cards, which represents a double deck, all right? 52 times 2 is 104. Did I say 204? It's 104, my bad. 104 cards there. And with that, you can see there's a lot of aces. There's a lot of these low cards. There's only 1 7, 1 8, 1 9, and then there's 4 of each of these: 10s, jacks, queens, kings, and you can kind of count these up as well. There's what, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 2s, 15 3s, 15 4s, and I think 8 2 4 6 8 5s and 8 6s. All right, so I'm going to mix these all together here. Let me do that really quick for us. Throw those in the middle, and then it really doesn't matter a whole lot if you have cut cards or anything like that, but we are going to, I'll just show you that these are all mixed up now. You can see all those aces that are in there. But a couple things that are cool about this is if you were to count this out, your count is going to end up at a plus 21. All right, blackjack, that's kind of cool, I think. But it also kind of simulates kind of getting those high counts, and with all those aces, there's going to be a lot of chances for deviations that might occur against certain dealers' up cards. All right, so with that, what you might want to do is have this chart right here handy. This is the illustrious 18. You can find it just by searching illustrious 18 on Google or something, right? I think that's how I found it. And anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play out, one hand versus the dealer, and anytime that I see there's a deviation or a hand that involves a deviation, I am going to kind of make note of that, and eventually you might want to print out my expanded deviation chart. So there, I'm not going to show you that too much because I do charge for that. If you're interested, I'll put that in the link down below, or the pinned comments down below will be a link to that. That's my expanded deviations, where I think that's my top 30, whereas the illustrious 18, of course, just has 18. So anyway, with that said, let's see if we can get a few deviations here and go through it like this. All right, so a pair of 2s versus dealers 5. I'll also say basic strategy as I do these. We'll just kind of work through this deck once. All right, pair of 2s versus a dealer's 5 does not have any deviations, but you would normally split that. Okay, and just throw those in here. And you know what? I might also not put another card under, because we'll just kind of say what that deviation is. Okay, here we have, this one does have a deviation. So this is a soft 15 versus a dealer's 4. With this hand, normally basic strategy says you're going to double down. However, you're going to deviate by hitting at any negative running count. All right, so soft 15 versus 4 deviates by hitting at any negative running count. I think that might be one of my top 30. It might not necessarily be on the illustrious 18. Okay, a 13 versus dealer's 3. This is kind of a debated one. I think this one is on the illustrious 18, but I don't include it on my top 30. But that doesn't stop us from knowing it. Okay, a hard 13 is going to normally, according to basic strategy, stand against a 3. However, we're going to hit at any true count, that is -2 or lower. All right, let's try a few here. Oops, I want to put another card under there. What about this one? This is a soft 16 versus a dealer's 3. A soft 16 versus a dealer's 3 is normally going to be a hit, all right? And there There might be an expanded deviation, but I don't think it is included in the illustrious 18 or mine. So we're just going to hit on that one. Okay, there you go, blackjack. Of course, we would just take our 3 to 2 on that one. So a lot of these won't have deviations, but this one, a soft 15 versus a dealer's 10 is, you're just going to hit it, right? There's no deviation for that. Okay, so part of the nice thing about this drill is you get to practice your basic strategy by knowing what you should do, as well as knowing what you need to deviate from as well. All right, a 10 versus a dealer's 2. This one you're just going to double down. There is no deviation there. All right, a 12 versus a 5. This one does have a deviation. A 12 versus a 5 is normally a stand, but you are going to deviate a 12 versus a 5 by hitting at any count that is -1 or lower. This is one that's actually debated a little bit. Some people say -1, some people say -2. Okay, and so I'll say -1 according to my chart. All right, pair of aces, we always split those, no deviation there. 6, you're just always going to hit a 6. No deviation on that one. Pair of 10s, we're going to stand according to basic strategy. However, this one does have a deviation. This is one of probably the most profitable deviations, and that is to split your pair of 10s against the dealer's 6 at any true count that is a +4 or higher. Okay, so +4 or higher. That's one that you should probably know, whether you split 10s or not. Okay, 6, again, that's just always going to be a hit. 19, always a stand, hard 19. Let's see here. This is a soft 17 versus a dealer's 4. It's just, I think, always going to be a double down. I don't think there's any deviation for that. If there is, it's an expanded one, which probably is not worth the brain power for knowing. Here's one, though. A soft 17 versus a dealer's 2. This one does have a deviation. So first off, according to basic strategy, a soft 17 versus a dealer's 2 is going to be a hit. However, we're going to deviate by doubling down at any true count that's a +1 or higher. All right, +1 or higher on that one. Looks like we're about halfway, a little further than that. Hey, another blackjack. That would have been a push. All those aces in there. Again, all those aces help with the soft hands. Pair of 2s versus dealer's 4 is always going to be a split. Okay, even if there's no double after splits, pair of 2s. If there is no double after split, a pair of 2s only don't split against a 2 or a 3. Okay, but against a 4, you'd always split those. Against an ace, here, I guess we could do this. A 6 itself wouldn't have a deviation against an ace, but when are you going to take insurance? That might be a good question to ask yourself with all these aces. And that is going to be, of course, when the true count is +2.5 for double deck and +3 or higher for a shoe game, a 4, 6, or 8 deck there. Okay, now remember, that has nothing to do with your hand. That is the likelihood of the dealer having blackjack. All right, pair of aces, we always do what? We always split those, okay? Oh, another ace. All those aces of spades. Another blackjack. Another blackjack. So I must not have got these as shuffled as I could. Let's shuffle up the rest here. There we go. Try to mix them up a little bit for you. Pair of 10s versus an 8 is going to be a stand according to basic strategy. Is there a deviation to split this against an 8? What do you think? No, there's not. Right? We would never split those against an 8, only against a dealer's 4, 5, or 6 would we split those. There are a couple of expanded ones against a 2 and 3, but I don't teach those. All right, what about a soft 14 versus a dealer's 4? This one does have a deviation. So normally a soft 14 is going to be a hit against dealer's 4. In fact, you'd only double down against a dealer's 5 or 6. But against a dealer's 4, you're going to deviate by doubling down at a true count of +2 or higher. So if the true count is +2 or higher, you're likely to get a 10. You're likely to get a couple 10s, or maybe a 10, ace, another 10, or something like that, and bust their hand. So that's why you would want to double down at a true count of +2 or higher. A 5, you're just always going to hit that, especially against a 2. Okay, and let's see, looks like maybe a few more here. Soft 14 versus a 2. This is always going to be a hit. Only double down against a 5 or 6 according to basic strategy. Keep going here. An 8 versus a 5. This one does, I think, have a deviation that's an expanded one. But here, let's see if we can. I don't have one left, but if it was against a dealer's 6, then you would double down. If this was an 8 versus a 6, you would double down at a +2 or higher. Against a 5, it's not included in the illustrious 18 or my top 30 because it's just not as profitable. But it probably does have an expanded one that, again, probably is not worth learning. Another blackjack, nice work. And it looks like maybe the last one here. All right, looks like we have an 8 versus an ace. Is there any deviation here? Not for the 8, but remember ace, this one, you're going to take insurance in a double deck game at a true +2.5, and in a shoe game at a true +3 or higher. All right, so that's one drill that you can do, is kind of stack your deck, I guess. If you have all those aces in there, that helps with some of those soft hands. You get a lot of pairs with those, all the high cards of the high valued cards of your 2 through 6. So that might be something that you are interested in doing. That's going to be kind of our first drill, if you will. All right, and then the second way that we're going to kind of learn some of these deviations today is with this fill-in chart. All right, so I might try to pop this on the screen for you, but I like this because it goes through my top 30 deviations, and then you can fill in what basic strategy is supposed to be for each of those decisions. What you're deviating to, so what basic strategy is, and then deviate by doing what is maybe what that next line would be. And then there's also kind of a next line where it splits this up into either S17 or H17, because some of these decisions are very specific to which game you're playing. For example, if I had a soft 18 versus a dealer's 2, what I do in S17 game is going to be very different than what I do in an H17 game, right? In fact, even basic strategy itself is different at that. So you might want to learn which type you play more, whether it's S17 or H17. So that's going to be one thing that you could potentially print out. Now, this is included when you buy the third thing, and that is going to be my deviation flashcards. So you get the flashcards, you get this fill-in charts, along with this chart that I keep kind of not showing you because that has all the answers, you might say. But you can purchase all of that for, I think, $18 US down below at the link in the pinned comment of this video. However, we can go through a few of these. I just have kind of 2 of these stacks. There's actually 90 cards that you get. So this is 60 of them, 30, 30, and then I keep 30 in kind of a used deck of card box, right, that I keep with me at all times. I guess not now, but when I have my bag that I take to work and stuff, it's always in there because I can go through it at lunch. But these are also broken up into kind of those individual 30. Tell you what, let's go through about 5 of them here, and I'll show you how these work. You've probably seen some of my deviations before on my channel if you've watched me for any length of time. But let's just try them, see if I can get them right in front of the camera here. If I have a soft 20 versus a dealer's 6, first off, what's basic strategy and what are my deviating to? So first off, we're going to stand according to basic strategy. And then a soft 20 versus a dealer's 6 deviates by doubling down at a true count of +4 or higher. Okay, so you can see the way these work, if I zoom in on this a little bit, is basic strategy is on top. Soft 20 versus a dealer's 6 stands according to basic strategy. So, and then there's also a phrase down below. It's normally a stand. And then down here it says double down at a true count of +4 or higher. Okay, so that's 1. Let's do 4 more here. A 9 versus a dealer's 7 is, according to basic strategy, going to be a hit. We're going to deviate by doubling down at a true count of +3 or higher. A lot of these, by the way, kind of get more money on the table for us. We deviate when we have the advantage because we want to, get more money on the table and hopefully win more. So again, that one is normally a hit, double down at a true count of +3 or higher. Here's an interesting one. So this one is 5 versus an ace. All right, so you might think, well, there's no deviation with that. And there's not with the 5, but kind of like what we were doing with the cards earlier, there actually is with the ace. This one, you normally don't want to take insurance, but you are going to take insurance at a true count of +2.5 in a double deck game and a true count of +3 or higher in a shoe game. So there you can see, normally don't take it, but we are going to take it. It says at +3 because shoe games are more common, but it does have 2.5 for a double deck in parentheses. All right, what about an 11 versus an ace? This one I think is one that has a difference depending on whether it's an S17 game or an H17 game. And let's see here. Sometimes I have to look because I only play H17 where I'm from. So I'm going to cheat a little bit. All right, that's what I thought. So yeah, normally this is going to be in an S17 game, it's actually going to normally be a hit against an ace. All right, and you're going to double down at a true count of +1 or higher, whereas in an H17 game, it's normally a double down already, and you're going to deviate by just hitting at a true count of -1 or lower. And so I indicate all that here on the back. I think that this is, yeah, the top one, the basic strategy is based off of the S17 game. So here it says we normally hit, and we're going to double down at a true count of +1 or higher. And here it says S17 and H17. So both those rules there are listed out. All right, that is 4. Let's do one more. Here's an interesting one, a 12 versus a dealer's 3. This one is normally going to be a hit. However, you're going to stand at a true count of +2 or higher. All right, so normally a hit, stand at a true count of +2 or higher. You'll notice with a few of these, let me just put out a couple others here. There we go. And double down, split. So I always kind of know these as hit, stand, double down, and split. These are the shapes that I use. So if you are interested in purchasing my my top 30 deviations, you get 30. It's kind of listed out in 3 different ways. So for example, let me see if I can find this one. This is a 10-10 versus a 6. All right, so in this 30, the 10-10 versus a 6 is queen, queen, 6. Whereas in my other pile here, it's JK versus 6. On the back, they say the exact same thing. Okay, you're going to split at a true count of +4 or higher. All right, so you might have 3 different versions of this, and the one I have up in my bag is maybe it says like 10J, all right, 10J versus a 6. So you can see those in some different situations. This one that we did, where was it, a 12 versus a 4, right? It might be 7-5 versus 4. Another one might be, Q2 for a queen and a 2 versus a 4. But that way you get a different look. You get kind of 3 different looks for each of those 30 deviations. And I think that's helpful so you don't just memorize, oh, that one had the 2 queens on it, I know I have to split that. All right, don't do that. Instead, memorize the situation, not the card, if that makes any sense. All right, but anyway, we have hit, stand, double down, and split. The hit is going to have kind of a green rectangle. The stand's going to be a stop sign, a red stop sign kind of shape, octagon. Double down, I have 2 bars that are kind of doubled. And I just needed to pick a different color on that one. And then lastly, we have a circle that is split to indicate when you should split those. Those middle ones that have they're kind of bigger, that is the deviation, whereas on the top is what basic strategy normally is. So if you find that interesting, I find, basic strategy, you can kind of memorize the chart pretty well, I think. But deviations are where I really use the flashcards to help me out. In fact, I probably need to brush up on these a little bit. These 18 are going to be a great way for you to do that. So if you want, they're available for purchase down in the pinned comment of this video. Hopefully you found this kind of little mini series on practice tips helpful. If you did, guys, please help me out and give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate that, and that kind of keeps me motivated to keep making these videos for you. If there is anything that you would like to see next, or maybe another practice tip that you would like to see, let me know that down in a comment. I like hearing from you guys, and I like hearing your comments. You're really good to let me know when I mess up, and you're also really good at coming up with good ideas. So until next time, remember, this is A1 Blackjack.